My name's Tim Groves and I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager for Glen Prince of Great Britain. As a company, we've been around for 25 years. Next year is our 25th anniversary. And we basically buy and export scarves all over the world, but Japan is probably our biggest market, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about that today. As I say, Glen Prince is a family company. It was set up in 1989 and it was incorporated in 1990, and it was set up by Mark Lovell and his father. And we're based down in Somerset in the southwest of England, and that's where the family were originally from. We basically specialise in high-end fashion accessories, so we started very much with the high-end Scottish products, so cashmere scarves, wraps, stools, shawls, that sort of thing. And in 2010 we introduced a lightweight product, so it's the more fast fashion products that you see a lot of people wearing out and about today. And our wholesale markets include Asia, the Far East market, USA, Central and Eastern Europe. So we've pretty much got customers in most countries around the world. But the largest market that we have is Japan. So talking a little bit about doing business and the etiquette of doing business in Japan, we've been going there for 25 years. The company is a little bit different in the way that we set up, because Mark, when he went there for the first time, it was on a trade mission and he met some people, and the company was basically born from that, and the Japanese market liked the product, so we've been focusing and going there. So we're very strong in that market, but for example in the UK we've only got a very small market and not that many people know Glen Prince, so we're starting to grow that. But what we've learned over the years is there's a very definite way that the Japanese do business, and some of the things to be thinking about if and when you go over there are the business cards or the meishi. That is something that they are very strong on. It's very much run in a hierarchical way. They very much, that you have the top person and then everybody is in their place underneath. And the way that they use the cards is to determine very quickly who you are, where you are within the company, should they be talking to you or not. Like anybody, you need to get to talk to the right person straight away, otherwise you're kind of wasting a little bit of time. So the business cards is important, and very much like the Japanese way for doing everything, there's a whole ceremony that goes around it, and there's a certain way that you should present business cards and receive business cards and take time to look at it and repeat their name and let them know that you've understood who they are and where they're from and what they do. Simple things as well. When you've received a business card, you should never just put it in your pocket. You'll always see Japanese people, there's a huge market for business card holders because they very much look after the cards and they put them away very carefully. It's an important thing for them. It's not just to take my card and hand it out to lots of different people. Again, with the culture and the sort of the interaction and behaviour of Japanese people, they're very polite people. Even when you walk around the shops in Japan, if you go into the Isotans and the big department stores, when the sales staff come in, they will enter the room and they will bow to the shop and they then go on and do their business. And when they leave, they will bow and walk out backwards from the shop floor to go off on their break or to leave their shift. It's the way that they do things, and that's very important when you meet, and you bow to meet them and you bow to the same height that they bow to. Giving gifts is a very big thing. When I started out my working career, I worked in hospitality for the Savoy Group in London, and we used to get an awful lot of Japanese customers coming in, and they would love to bring you a little gift and present you with a little gift from their village, whether it's a handkerchief or it's a bit of lace or something that they have, and giving of a gift is a very important thing for them. So it's quite important to remember that, and it's always good if you're going and you're having meetings with specific people to take them a gift, and they quite often, we sell scarves, we don't always gift people a scarf. It would be the obvious thing to do, but they quite like to receive something from the area that you're in. So we're a Southwest company, and we've got the cider brandy company up the road from us, and you take them something that is representative of the area that you're from. If you receive a gift and it's wrapped never unwrap it there and then. You always take it away and you do it later because it's something for you. They don't want it to be shared with everybody else that's there. When you're attending meetings and you wait to be seated. Don't just walk into a room and sit down yourself. Again, it's part of the hierarchy, and if you're in a meeting with a big group of people, you can tell because as you're looking at them, you'll have the main person sitting on the left and then all the people sitting down. They kind of flow in order of their importance within the business. And never point with your finger, and I struggle with because I talk with my hands and all over, but you shouldn't use excessive sort of hand movements and things like that with them, and you shouldn't point with your fingers because it's not the way that they do, it's not the way that their culture sort of works. And okay means money in Japanese, so again, if it's just little things. It's wherever you deal in the world, there's always things that you might do in your country, but if you do it there, it could mean something completely different, and you can offend people quite quickly without sort of realizing you're going to do it. With the Japanese market, it goes on. They're very much into their social interaction as well, and we're very often of an evening will be taken out by customers and you'll go to their favourite restaurant, or they'll take you to a bar and you could be doing karaoke with them one night or in a very serious restaurant the next night. But again, it's all about culture and food service and things like slurping of noodles, which if you did it in this country, people would look at you a bit funny, but over there it's the way that they do it. So everybody's slurping and you don't make comments or joke about it because it's just their culture and the way that they are. Things that we never knew, standing your chopsticks up into your dinner, it's just, you see people do it in the Western people that are over there, they just put them in to stand them up, but in Japan they use that. It's something that they do during funeral services if they're eating out of a mark of respect for the dead people. So again, it's just little things like that you can offend people quite easily, and the Japanese are so polite in the way that they do their business. They wouldn't ever tell you if they were offended by something. You just probably would never hear from them again. So you have to be very careful to do a bit of research about the do's and don'ts, if you like, before you go over to do business there. And if you're eating with customers, I hate fish, I don't eat fish, I never have eaten fish. So for me in Japan, it's a bit of a struggle. When you go out for dinner with people, you should, if they say, here's something, try it. You've got to try it. So I think the worst I had was the fermented egg, which is something that it just totally goes against everything that I would usually do. But you have to eat it and, try it and show your appreciation and be part of the ceremony of the dinner and the whole experience. And if alcohol is served, never drink from the bottle. You always drink from a glass, and you should pour it into a cup that's provided. Again, it's just their culture. It's the way. It's very bad manners to sit there drinking out of a bottle. So, as I was saying, hierarchy is still very important, and we do a lot of business early in the morning because of the time difference, so that's when we know we're going to get the Japanese market, and you can easily waste time talking to completely the wrong person. And even simple things, if you're going to send an invoice, you need to send it to the specific person that deals with an invoice. If you send it, I have a lot of contacts from the sales side of things, and if I send them a specific invoice, I know it's not going to go to anybody else because they'll be very polite, thank you very much, but they won't do anything with it. So you have to make sure that you're dealing with the right people, otherwise it can get lost in the whole ether of their business. They're extremely respectful of authority, and even I've been with the company for 5 years, and I was brought on to be introduced into the Japanese market to take some pressure off of my boss, who taking a bit of a backseat, doing a lot of other things. And it's taken, 3 or 4 years to get to the point that people will actually approach me and talk to me on the stand without asking for Mark and then waiting for him to come along. So again, it's very different to a lot of other countries, and it can be frustrating, but you have to be patient and just let people become comfortable with you. And then when they know and understand that you're there as you're part of the company, then you'll see things flow and the respect is there. But even the way that they will talk about they don't use first names, they will use surnames. So when you receive emails, they'll say from, and then it'll be their surname, which again is something that's quite different from a Western sort of point of view. But they will refer to their managers as manager. They won't give them a name, or they'll just say, I'll have to speak to my manager. And even though we know exactly who those people are in our business, it's not the way that they really do things over there. Dealing with the Japanese, one of the things that we found very early on is that for a quality point of view, you have the international standards and then you have Japanese standards. And companies will have teams of people that will check. For us with scarves, they will open and check every single individual scarf, and if there's any problems with any of them, from the tiniest little blemish, then they will look to try and return that product or get a credit note for that product. So standards are really important, and if you're used to doing things some way, you want to be upping your game a little bit to look at the standards, because Japanese are so high on quality control. We do a lot of quality control. We have products made in Scotland, we have products made in India, and we check every single piece where we can, but the volumes that we do, it's not practical for us to check every single piece. And it's been very much a learning curve since we introduced the lightweight products. The only way that we were able to introduce the Indian lightweight products into the Japanese market was by finding a supplier who we knew would give us the products that we demand and the expectations that the Japanese market had. They didn't want to deal with Indian suppliers because they knew that there was an awful lot of aggravation that can go with it, and there can be a lot of toing and froing and quality issues. But they were happy for us to introduce the product to them because they knew that we would be the middlemen that dealt with all the issues. But it's been a real learning curve for us, but also for them, and we've almost had to re-educate our customers to the new product to explain that, this is an individually handmade product. It's been individually hand screen printed, so not every piece is going to look exactly the same. And when you deal with India, the Japanese expectation of a factory is 4 walls, quality control, air conditioning, very clinical, whereas an Indian factory is very different from that, and it might have 3 walls and no air conditioning and all sorts of different sort of problems that are related to that. And we found that it's been a bit of a journey to re-educate the customers that you cannot expect 100% every single individual piece is not going to be the same. And in some ways that's the beauty of the product, that you might have something that's individual because it's got a slight imperfection in the print, or it's got a slight weave defect. It's part and parcel of the nature of the product, and slowly the customer has come to realise that, and I think we're lucky because we had a very good reputation with the Japanese customers for the Scottish products, and they've trusted us enough when we've sort of told them and explained what's happening, and at the end of the day the sales are still very strong, and they get the products and it flies off, and they've sold out in a very short space of time. So they're happy to deal with the problems and work through the issues that they have. But it's, if I was going to say anything to somebody who's starting or thinking about working in Japan, quality control and just the amount of energy that you have to put into that is more than you have to do for any other country, because they will come back, and we get pictures and you can see that they've used a zoom lens to go right into a product, and you can see the crosshairs of a woven product really clearly, and it's a tiny little mark, and it's interesting, and it makes life difficult at times, but the rewards pay off. It's such a huge market for us anyway. But yeah, so thank you for your time and being here to listen to me today. If you've got any questions, please do. It's a difficult one to sort of talk because we've been doing Japan for so long and it's what we do. There's probably all sorts of things that I could say that I haven't said, but if you've got specific questions about going to the Japanese market, or please just ask, let me know.